So he bought the car back that he built 50 years before. He bought it on the same weekend as his 50th wedding anniversary. So it ended up being pretty neat. My buddy Jeff sent me a link to this car on Kijiji. I called, got there as fast as I could, and come to find out after, there was lots of people for many years after that car when it was at Brian's place and at his place, and just happened to be I was the lucky guy that got there. He took the car completely apart, every bolt out of the thing, and took all the body mounts off, and the fenders were up in the loft, up with the hay, and the doors were in his basement because they had cool lettering down the doors, and he didn't want them to get stolen out of the barn. He just decided he couldn't do the car. He decided to put it up for sale, and on Friday night he dug a spot with a tractor all the way back there, and then we got a tow truck to pull it out on Saturday morning, and I got it home. On Facebook, of all places, there's a page called Carling Avenue in Ottawa, Carling Avenue Cruising, because it was a common spot to drive up and down and the old cars for many years. So, and I asked, does anybody recognize this car? And the post lit right up. There was lots of people that recognized it. And then this lady, Kathy Wesley, sends me a message, and she said, "Oh, my husband Skip Wesley built that car in 1970. It was kind of one of those cars that always got away, and they thought they had a chance at buying it back a couple times. It didn't pan out." And then she sent me a message and said, Skip really wants to see the car, but I think he really only wants to come if there's a chance that he'd be able to buy it back. Otherwise, I don't think he wants to see it. So I had thought it over that week, and if I built something and come across it 50 years later and it's virtually the same, it'd be pretty neat to be able to get it back. And anyway, I said, you know what, I wouldn't mind if Skip, if he wanted to buy it back, we could talk about that. So the family come over and their two daughters, and he's looking at the car and he's like, yeah, I remember doing this wiring. It's all the same. And I remember doing this, and on the front, on the hood, where there's those bullets on a 57 Chevy hood, this one had holes there. And he said, yeah, I just used a piece of exhaust pipe and cut it and shaped it and welded it in there. So it has this nice open hole in the front. And the car was very much the same as when he had it. Time had worked a little magic on it, but overall the car is a survivor. So as we're standing in the garage looking at this 57, I said, Skip, what would be really neat with this car is just to preserve it, to fix what's broken, put it back to mechanical condition where it could be on the street again, and keep it the same. And he's kind of got his head down, and he's leaning on the door looking inside, and you can see his wheels are turning, and his daughters are like, no, Adam, that's not how this works. My dad takes stuff like this and makes it nice. And I said, yeah, but this is nice. This was done. Your dad did this 50 years ago, and it survived all this time. Skip lifts his head up and says, I think Adam's right. This car needs to be preserved. It's cool because of what he did. If it was just another Chevy that laid around, then sure. But this one was special. It's the only one that looks like that, and it's survived all this time and owners. And so they've ended up, we made a deal, and so he bought the car back that he built 50 years before. He bought it on the same weekend as his 50th wedding anniversary. So it ended up being pretty neat.